Nancy was definitely a really interesting film. And if you watch this, I'd love to know what you think about the character in particular of Nancy. This was released in 2018. It's directed by Christina. Choe, written by Choe, with a cast including Andrea Riseborough and Dowd and J. Smith Cameron, Steve Buscemi, and various others. And we have some really great performances and, in general, a narrative that's pretty fascinating. This is about a woman called Nancy, and she sees this appeal on the television with a couple appealing for information about their child who was kidnapped many, many years ago, 30 years ago to be exact. And Nancy sees this picture of this child and she sees the age progression photo and she sees herself. And I have to say that the images do look quite similar. So she does what I think was a really stupid move and gets in touch with the couple, the little girl's parents. Obviously, she should have gone to the police, but nevertheless, she gets in touch with the couple and says, "I think I might be your daughter." And she visits them, and that's what the film is about. And I'll say no more than that. I don't want to give anything else away. I do think Nancy is quite unlikable. She is, in fact, really unlikable. I cannot trust her, but the lack of trust does make it interesting because it's very unclear, at least to me, whether she truly believed that she was the missing child. Again, there's a physical resemblance, so it absolutely could be the case. Or if she was taking advantage of the situation, and obviously as the film progresses, it decides to go down one path or the other, and I won't say which one it goes down, but certainly to begin with, she was unlikable and not to be trusted. There was just something about her that was not great. But the character does develop over time. We do chip away at her a bit more and find out a little bit more, but I also feel like the more we find out, we also have more questions about the character. And of course, the parents, the little girl's parents, have a lot of questions, and it's not clear exactly where it's going. That being said, I was pretty confident I knew where it was going. And that part of it, I think, I was just desperate to find out if my suspicions were true, and I'm not going to say whether or not that's the case, but I was really emotionally invested in it. So while I didn't like her, I did want her to be the missing child for the parents' sake. So I had no idea what was going to happen. And again, part of me was confident I knew what was going to happen, but at the same time, it could have gone either way. The way things were set up, it absolutely could have gone either way. But I will say, there is one aspect that I really didn't like, and I found it to be very poorly done, and I will discuss that in a moment with a spoiler warning. But in general, I wanted to know. I needed to know. As soon as we got to the main premise, which happened pretty quickly, I needed to know, is she that little girl? Was she kidnapped as a child? And I'm not going to say, but I was very emotionally invested. Even though I didn't like Nancy, I really was emotionally invested in her story and the story of the little girl's parents. So I do recommend it, but it's not perfect. I don't think Nancy's likable. I think she's well written as a character. I think she's very believable in that regard, and I think the performances across the board are all really good. But as a character, I really did not care for her. Check out the film if you're curious. It's not perfect. I will explain why in a moment. It's not ideal with Nancy being really unlikable, but I think it makes sense that they wrote her this way within the context of the story. And if it sounds like a tale for you, I'd say it's worth watching. I will now say what I didn't like. So this is a big spoiler. In fact, I'm going to say how the film ends because I kind of need to be able to wrap everything up. So huge spoiler for the rest of the film, the ending of the film. Let's say the last 10-15 minutes. We find out, and this is what I expected, we find out that she wasn't the kidnapped child. And it's honestly not clear whether Nancy knew this, that she just saw the resemblance and took advantage of the situation, or if actually she did genuinely believe that she was this child. She wasn't trying to trick them necessarily, which kind of was a bit of a red herring. For example, somebody came to take a cheek swab for the DNA and there was no resisting or anything, which made me think, yeah, she believes she could be because she was just giving this so freely. So I like that. I like the fact that, while I don't like her, it wasn't completely clear whether or not she believed she was the missing child. However, I did expect that to not be the case, and we find out that she wasn't. And the rest of the film was just really underwhelming. I thought the ending was really poor. I thought it was very poorly executed. I felt really disappointed at how they concluded things. I don't mind that she wasn't the child. I kind of expected that. But it just fell really flat. And I don't think it worked really well. And I was really disappointed by the ending. I had questions as well, and I needed answers to those questions. So I didn't love the ending, and it did kind of ruin a lot of the rest of the film. But I still came away from it feeling like I enjoyed the journey, if not the destination. And that being said, even though I've now explained the ending, still maybe check it out if you're curious. Nancy's not great, but it's still quite fascinating.